Okay, so yeah, that's all done, cleared. Worked out each one of these wires, starting with number 1. So found that in the airing cupboard, and we've got through all of these. They're now labelled 1 to 5. Some of them we'll just strip out because they're not needed. Others we'll use with our wiring centre. So we've got the VR71 Valent wiring centre, which we're going to put up in the airing cupboard. Sensor controls. Obviously the boiler will be going just there on the wall. So some of these cables that go up in this trunking will pick our boiler up and then go up to the wiring centre in the airing cupboard. What's up guys, happy Sunday. Thanks for tuning in to my latest video, The Life of a Jobbing Plumber, sponsored by Power Toolmate and Velocity Pro Gear tool bags. Got a really good video for you this week. Now I know I've been absent on YouTube, I've not really been feeling it. I had a video all ready to go last Sunday, but then last minute I got cold feet and I didn't put it out. That one's ready to go another time because the last couple of weeks I was working with Stu AccuWarm. And it's a really interesting job, and also you get to see how Stu works as well as how I work. I just think you'll really enjoy it. It's a 2-part video because it's quite a long video. So this one you'll see the first sort of half of the job, and then the second video, which I'll put out next week, will be the rest of it. In this video, there is a chance to win some diamond core drills from core bits from Dart Tools. Anyone who leaves a comment will be entered into the draw. Basically, I got some of those to give away. They're the ones I think I did a giveaway last summer. The set that I use, they're really good, so if you do win, they're a great core drill set to have. So there's that. Not going to chat too much because the video that was going to go out last Sunday has got my sort of update from when I was at Installer Show, basically just thanking you guys who came to meet me, to tell me that you like my videos or that I've inspired you in some way to do better at your job. Or a lot of people spoke to me about my fitness stuff, so that was great. Speaking of that, I am running the London Marathon. I'm also doing Amsterdam Marathon and Istanbul Marathon this year. For Parkinson's UK, I'm doing the big London Half Marathon for Band of Builders. So I'm going to just drop the link to the fundraising page for those. If you want to sponsor me for running either of those, you don't have to, but if you want to, the links will be on there. I actually ran a half marathon this morning, in Huntingdon near Cambridge. It was absolutely boiling. I think I've got heat stroke. But yeah, my fitness stuff is going really well. That's keeping me focused. So I'm enjoying that. But yeah, I've got content ready to go on YouTube. I just need to sort of get back in the zone. But thanks for sticking with me. I really think you'll enjoy this video. I think it's a good one. And yeah, it's part 1 of 2. Hope you enjoy it. Nice van. It's not mine though. Stu's. All right, mate. All right. So I'm in sunny, well, it's pissing it down actually, Swindon.
Sunny Swindon.
And this is the job today. So Stu is going to run us through, because you've been here before, haven't you?
Yes, yeah.
It's not straightforward, but give us a rundown on the whole job, basically, what you did first time you came.
So, builder that I know referred me onto this job. The previous plumber had struggled to get his head around some of it, from what I've been told. There was an old ACV solo boiler, ACV cylinder and control system, which is an old hot water priority boiler with weather compensation for the heating. It was failing miserably. Customer wanted to replace it anyway because it was quite old. He's had a full M&E design done for the house previously, so we can largely use a lot of that information to size this. So I then spec'd a full Valent system, so Valent boiler, cylinder, mixers, because you've got underfloor heating, central heating, towel rails, secondary return, and then central heating circuit. So they all need different flow rates and temperatures. And then I got a call quite a while back, boiler's pissing water out. So I come up here quick, absolutely knackered, heat exchanger's gone, all the insulation's gone into the boiler was a write-off, so I quickly had to throw this boiler in. And as you can see, there's quite a bit going on this. You've got separate central heat and flow and returns, separate hot water flow and returns, coal main and gas coming in. We've then had an addition on here of towel rails and underfloor heating. which is then zoned secondly up in the airing cupboard. So it's just been a nightmare to get through. We've got cables absolutely everywhere, no idea what half of them are. So we spent a lot of time tracing back pipes, cables, looking through the old plans to try and figure it out. Quickly put this boiler in, just made a little header here, just because there's around 30 radiators, give or take, I can't remember what there is, plus unfloating towel rails and stuff like that. So there's quite a lot going on. It's all been running sweet off this little ground force pump. Even for a big house like this, doesn't need one of these huge bumps. And now the plan is to rip all this back, move the boiler up onto this outside wall.
So the boiler's going to be somewhere just here. This is all the pipe work. Obviously it comes here and down. So the new boiler's going to be sited there, and then we're going to get onto what we need to here once we've worked everything out. So if you don't know what a header is, basically, obviously Stu's come to this job in an emergency. He doesn't know the full system because there's just pipes everywhere, nothing's labelled. So what the header enables you to do in the most basic terms is you know that the boiler is going to work because the pump in the boiler is going to pump the water around that header like that. And then to get different parts of the system, like your towel radiators, your underfloor, your heat and your hot water, you're then relying on the external components. So that pump will send it to places. But if you didn't do it with the header and you relied on the boiler pump and then there was issues with circulation, flow and stuff, your boiler might not actually fire or it might overheat. If you've got air in the system, airlocks, stuff like that, the header negates that because the boiler will always work, because it will just do that. If everything else stopped working, the boiler will still circulate there. So it's just a nice way of guaranteeing that your boiler is going to work if you don't know that the system's going to perform. So
start running sweet.
So we've got this to do down here, then we'll go up now and have a look in the airing cupboard, because it's pretty similar there as well, isn't it? Yeah. So this is the cylinder cupboard. Obviously we've got quite a lot of pipes going on, and then a lot of cables as well. So we've got wiring centre there, another one there, looks like some unterminated cables there, one there, maybe used to have a room stat on it, programmer up here. Was there a fuse bit? Oh yeah, fuse bit up here as well. Wiring to that zone valve, zone valve, zone valve. So that's towel rails, underfloor and hot water. So there's quite a lot to work out. We're going to a Unistore.
So 250 litre Unistore going in. New secondary return because they just put a normal heating pump on there. We're going to strip this back, ply the back wall because it's dry lined out and it's all pretty knackered from previous leaks there. Straighten everything up, valve it all off nicely, because a lot of these valves they do, well that one turns alright, but a lot of them are not really turning. They're all pretty well labelled up. They have got a valve schedule here, but I think we can make things up and make maintenance a little bit better going forward. But at the moment we're struggling with figuring out how to drain this down, because this is a tank-in-tank cylinder. So there's basically like a bottle within there which has got the domestic, or the cold water comes in, domestic hot comes out, and then it's completely surrounded by heating water. The idea of these is it can heat the water really quick, so you can have quite a big draw off a small cylinder. But we can't find a drain off to actually drain the hot water on the inner tank. We're going to have to siphon it.
Mouth on the end of that hose, mate. So just going to start draining down. I've not mentioned this for a while, but obviously with a drain cock, we've got the 8mm Joker spanner. The ring end though doesn't always fit them, so you'd have to use the open end. But with the HVAC wrench, you want the 5/16 size, which is this one. Pop that on, and then that's a ratchet. And that'll undo drain cocks. So if you're buying one of these, make sure it's got the 5/16, because that's the one you really need to use for drain cocks and gate valves and stuff. And then as well as the pipe work, we've got quite a bit to do with the wiring. I say quite a bit with like decommissioning it, because there's junction boxes everywhere, there's stats, zone valves everywhere. There's a lot of cables that are just hanging and have been terminated with tape. Some of them are just cut, like this one's just. So we have got to work out what the cables do. We're not going to need all of them because of the kit that we're fitting. but it'd be nice to know what's what, and obviously we're going to tidy it all up. Me and Stu are going to do the wiring ourselves. There's no electrician on this job, but sometimes on stuff like this, boiler controls, don't say it because I'll get shit from the electricians, but sometimes the plumber knows a bit more about heating controls. So while that's raining down, I'm just going to try and work out what cable does what. Obviously, easiest one is this one here. 5 cord goes up to the boiler. They're only using 4. So live, neutral, earth, then the grey, which is the switch live to bring the boiler on, obviously goes in with the oranges from these 2 local zone valves. There's more zone valves upstairs though. So what else we got? What's this one here? That one goes off and looks like it's connected with that one, and that is neutral on its own for some reason, and that brown, what I got there, that's the switch live for the underfloor, so that's to open that valve. So that one there must go all the way to the programmer for the underfloor. And then this one here, which goes in with the wireless digistat, that has got live, neutral, earth, and then a switch live there, which comes from, or goes to this heating zone valve. Okay, that's pretty straightforward then. And then what's this black one here? That one's going up again. Ah, that goes into that. So that is our main power from this spur here. Let's just shut that valve. Excuse the state of my bag. Just going to check the power on these cables, make sure there's nothing still live. So I've got my proving unit that just lives in the side of my bag, and then I'm going to put my tester in there. That should give me 240 on there, just to prove that my tester's working, because if it wasn't working and I'm touching all that thinking yeah it's dead, it might still be live if you've not proved that this is working. So on these Wago blocks, there's always a test point on them, and it's one where it's written, so anywhere the name is, you've got a test point. So if you just lift that up slightly, you'll see there's a gap under there, and that should take your probe. So I'm going to test that I've got the power off. I'll just test a few of these as well. Right, so that's them gone. So we've got, obviously, that goes to that zone valve. Labelled that up as the boiler. That's all dead now because the boiler's not got any power to it. Obviously that one's for the heating zone valve, and then this wire went to the digistat. So that's all disconnected. The wires that we do need, that's the live, neutral, and earth main power from the spur, and that's the switch live coming from the underfloor, which I've labelled as well. So that's all gone. Going to get rid of that, and then I just want to start working out what these are, but I need to do that from upstairs in the airing cupboard. So obviously that bit's done, I know that. Now I'm trying to work out what these are that come down. I know this one here is my underfloor heating switch live because I've labelled that one, but this one is just capped off. This one as well. So all I've done, first one, stripped the tape off. I've got black, grey, brown, and an earth. I hope that's an earth. So I'm going to see if I can find that upstairs in the airing cupboard, and then work out what it's going to, or if it's been capped off up there as well. Because ideally we want to have, see this says isolate elsewhere, we want one fuse spur for the lot. So if you turn the fuse spur off, it cuts everything on the heating system, rather than having to isolate it somewhere else. So that cable there that was just hanging down, that connected onto that one, went through the wall, through that to nowhere. So that's just a bit of cable we don't need. I'll save that because there's nothing wrong with that. Go with that. Okay, so I found these two just hanging. They're not labelled. I don't think they are. programmer maybe, but there's a programmer there. So hopefully these are those two that I've just uncovered downstairs. So I'll bail them out and see if I can find them, because we might be able to use those. I've also got quite a lot going into this wiring centre. Comes across to this. I'll just cut. Secondary return feed there. Yeah, there's a lot to work out. Okay, so yeah, that's all done, cleared. Worked out each one of these wires, starting with number 1, so found that in the airing cupboard, and we've got through all of these. They're now labelled 1 to 5. Some of them we'll just strip out because they're not needed, others we'll use with our wiring centre. So we've got the VR71 Valent wiring centre, which we're going to put up in the airing cupboard. Sensor controls. Obviously the boiler will be going just there on the wall. So some of these cables that go up in this trunking will pick our boiler up and then go up to the wiring centre in the airing cupboard. It's quite fun. This is probably the part of the job that I really enjoy, because I don't get to do it that often. But yeah, working all those out, yeah, it's good fun. So my van's in for a service today, so I've put my basic kit, what I think I need for my jobs, in my dad's little Citroen Berlingo. And then this is the Velocity van bag, which I've not spoke about for a long time, but it's one of the best bags they do. So that's my little mobile office that's come out of my van, and you can literally take it in home every night with your paperwork in, with your lunch, refill it, do whatever you've got to do, then bring it out the next day, pop it in your van. So I just took this out of my van, and then I can just pop it in here, and they just sit on the seat like that, and then you open it up, and it drops up like that, and then you've got an attachment there which goes around the headrest to hold it in. And yeah, you've got a little workspace there, cup holders and stuff. So I'll load that out now. So now next to me in the van I've got cup holders, because on this Berlingo, those 2 cup holders there, they're absolutely useless. Any roundabout corner you go around, you just ditch your tea into the footwell. So protein shake in that one, a cup of tea in that one, and then you've got this like hard surface here. It's like a worktop, and then in there I've got my snap. That's my breakfast for this morning. It's got some scrambled eggs and some yogurt with seeds on. Whatever else you want to keep in the middle section, obviously your drinks there, and then move that, pop the deck down, and then I've got my iPad, so I've got Tradify on there, and it becomes almost like a little mobile office. I've got pens in there, pads and stuff in there. Talking about Tradify, because they do sponsor my channel. It's a great app for running your diary. You can book jobs in, send gas certificates, email quotes direct to your customer. Pretty much anything you need from a work app, you can link it up to your accounts packages. So if you use, I use Sage 1. So you can send an invoice from Tradify and it will update on Sage 1, stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to use Tradify, use my discount code, which is PB Plumber. Obviously helps me out, and you'll get 50% off for the first 3 months. You can do a 14-day free trial, and the great thing about Tradify is when you first sign up, because obviously it's got loads of features on, they'll give you a call and the tech team will talk you through it, set you up, literally from go. They'll set your whole company up, teach you how to use it as best for your business. You can have multiple engineers on there. You get a little map there that shows you where you are, where your next job is. Yeah, it's great. So Tradify, PB Plumber, check it out. Oh, and if you want one of the van bags, they're on Power Tool Mate and Velocity website. Links to both of those are in the description to the video. Okay, so you might remember I showed you this on a previous video. This is the new stainless steel cutter from Milwaukee, which does admittedly cut the copper faster. But what we want to know is, if we put one of the stainless steel cutting wheels into this old one, will it perform as good as the new one? Because they look pretty much identical. So we're going to try that out on this job. Okay, so the new one, and then this is the old one with a stainless steel wheel in it, and we're going to do them exactly the same time and see how they perform. So 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, so conclusive proof there that it is the machine. They've made improvements to the machine. It's not just the cutting wheel, because that took ages to get through that. There we go. So we've worked out what all the cables we need are. We know what's what, so we can start stripping some of this out. We don't need this anymore. What else don't we need? That. So start stripping that out. Okay.
Am I talking?
Yep.
Yep. Siphoning out tank. So if you haven't got a drain off, or it's a knacker drain off, it's a lot quicker and easier to siphon hot water cylinders out. So this is drained down as far as we can. We can't see a drain off around the back there. So we're going to go in from the top and we're going to suck the water out, create a siphon and drain it out. So this is our cold inlet. Get a bit of HEP. All the way down, pull it back an inch. And that's attached onto hose, which you can either run down the stairs or to a shower tray or anything like that.
One little tip, if you do it into a shower tray, make sure it's cold, because if the water's scalding hot, you can actually crack the shower tray, because the water in that tank might be hotter than this is used to.
So now, on.
Basically using the wet vac instead of putting that in your mouth and sucking on it, because you don't want typhoid. You don't have typhoid.
Don't know, mate. I've got something with me now.
What is typhoid?
Isn't that a tea?
So everything in here is now stripped out. This has got live to it, and that's isolated, and then these ones are the ones that we've labelled from downstairs. This one here comes out the wall there, so that's going. This is the underfloor heating one, so that's staying, but everything else has come out, is now in that bag, and that's gone. Start stripping some pipework out as well. This is just draining. Yeah, we're doing all right, about lunchtime. So now that's all drained, I'm going to cut all of this pipework out, that's all going to go. And then up these stairs here, so that's where the boiler is at the minute. Boiler's going to go on the wall here, so it's easy to service from stood on this platform. And then all this pipework's going, so I've labelled it here what it is: underfloor heating, towel rail, flow, hot water return, hot water flow, central heating return, central heating flow. So I'm going to cut them there, and then they'll go into the new boiler like that. So when you're stripping out loads of pipework like this, that's when this comes into its own. I'm using the old one because the new one is upstairs with Stu. I'm letting him have a go of it because I'm nice like that. Right, so we've got all the pipework out that I need to get out. Boiler's gone, gas is capped, and then up here I've just cut all those pipes there ready. There's the ply that was there for the boiler. I'm going to fit that on the wall there, hang the boiler onto that. That'll be tomorrow now. So I'm just going to go up to Stu and get the old cylinder out now. So day one done, cylinder's out, capped off everything we need to cap off, water's back on. It's going to be plied out tomorrow. These two flow and returns that were to the underfloor, they're going. The plastic ones, we use the flow and return for the hot water cylinder in copper for that. So we just need the materials list now, don't we, mate? And then back tomorrow. Right, day two, little update for you. So if you remember all that pipe work that was there, that's all been stripped and gone, and now we've just got these 4 pipes. There is a gas pipe to come through as well, but we're basically down to 4 pipes. So I'm just lining it up for the flue using my laser level. Now people always ask me, especially on Instagram, when I show my laser level, which level do I use? It's this one, Stabila LEX50G, and I got it from a tool show about 7 years ago. I think I paid 70 quid for it. Just for the laser, the tripod's separate. Now I have got a Stabila tripod, but don't be fooled. Any camera tripod will do the same job. This has just got a little Stabila sticker on it, so it's a bog standard tripod. And it's been good as gold. The only thing wrong with it I've had it 7 years, it's never broke. It just eats batteries. So it's like 4 AA batteries. So if I was going to choose one again, now knowing what I know, I'd probably go for one with a rechargeable battery. But having said that, it's working absolutely fine, and I've had it for like 7 years now. So yeah, I'm going to line this up, mark for the flue, and then we're going to call the flue out. Stu's upstairs in the airing cupboard doing what he's doing. It's going well so far. Okay, so we've got a bit of a giveaway going on, but you might remember this Red 10 core drill set from Dart Tools. I started using mine in the summer last year. It's still going strong, but they've sent me 3 brand new kits to give away to you guys. So I'm going to show you what you get in the box. So it's the premium core bit set, soil pipes, boiler flues, waste pipes, and then probably for a gas extension bar, SDS chuck, and then a standard chuck, drift key, and a pilot bit all in one box. It's a decent set. Like I say, I've been using mine since summer. It's still going strong, but because we're doing a video on it, we've got a brand new one to show you. So I'm going to use this one now to core out the flue for this boiler. Little tip: if you struggle undoing your core drills after you've used them because they get jammed, a bit of PTFE around the thread and that will make them come apart a lot easier. So anything on your extension, your adapters, put some PTFE on and it will come off a lot easier. So I've never used one of these before, but Stu's invested in one, so we're going to try and use it, but we've not got the right adapter.
Yes, we have.
So we're going to tape it up. No dust at all. That's awesome. So the core that just came out, I've saved it and just offered it in there. That's where the old boiler flue went out. So hopefully we can reuse that because it's the same bricks on the outside. Yeah, happy with that. That's the only dust you get left on the shelf there. And you get a little bit in the end of this. Right, just there in the deck, but of course I dropped it. So dust everywhere now. Okay, so that's the flue in. I'm just sealing it with some of this express cement in the gun. If you've never seen it before, tube of cement, goes off fast in your silicone gun, and it basically just comes out in a bead like that. They're great for sealing flues.
Right, we're back in the next morning. The floor in here was in a state, so we're just going to take it, well, we're taking it out, we're going to renew it because the cylinder's probably going to come forward a little bit more anyway. We were always going to apply the back wall because that plasterboard seen better days, but customers now asked if we can put a lick of paint on it, so I'm going to crack on with that now whilst Pete's putting the boiler on. Just got to get this cold out. I left that in last night so it at least had cold to the rest of the house. So there we go, we're all plied out. Now the walls I've had to batten it in the space of the battens because they were so out of flat. But I'm pretty happy with that. And now it wouldn't be a social media plumbing job if it didn't get painted. Now the customers asked me if I could just paint it white before it goes in, so it makes it a bit easier for him once it's done. With some masonry paint. Right, all painted up. Just waiting for that to dry. Whilst that's drying, I'm going to sort this floor out, cut a new piece in there. I have to batten the floor up in a couple of places just to level it off because it's in a bit of a state down there, that all chocked up. New floor, that was an absolute pig. No carpenter. I'm trying to get around all these pipes. Nightmare, but it's in. Walls are all painted as shown, and temporary cold is in for the customer overnight if they're en suite. Now I'm going to start figuring out my layout, where the cylinder is going to go, zone valves, and trying to ensure there's no kind of visible crossovers where possible. There's a lot of pipes to pick up here and down here, so I'll do my best with it. Right, before I get too far ahead, obviously all ply work's done. I've started sorting my layout the best I can, sort my flow coming over, going to come down to zone valves, underfloor going across there. I'll have towel rails and then cylinder, and the returns are all linking up down here. And then I'm going to have my hots and colds sort of coming across the top, combi valve and stuff around this area, balance cold coming back down. Personally, I find it really hard just looking at a blank wall and thinking, what am I going to do? So I tend to scribble down on a bit of paper to start with, which I can't find where it is. I had a bit of cardboard with just a bit of a scrawl as to what I'm going to do. I just get a mental block if I look at that and go, ugh, and what'll happen is I'll start putting bits on and then I'll go, I forgot about that, and I'll have to cross over and all that. On this job, there's going to be quite a few crossovers and stuff just because of how it is and what I've got to link onto, but I'm hoping it's going to be nice and neat. We shall see. Right, so I've made a little minor error here. I was going to have cylinder flow coming off here and this one for the towel rails, but the height I've measured that off, which is the inlet height, my pipe's going to be coming across this way, and it's basically bang in line with where the screw is to get the cover off to get the immersion. So what I'm going to do is swap these two round. I'm just going to drop that down into that one and then bring this one out, which will bring me down here on the cylinder, and I can come up, put a little bottle vent on top of that. These things happen. You can plan it all you want, but sometimes you've got to correct a little bit as you go. So I use these Gebrit, however you want to say it, M profile fittings. I used to use a brand called Conex, and they use a different profile jaw. They use a jaw called a V. These press here, here and here, whereas these press here and here. So they're slightly different. I think these give a stronger joint, but these I'm finding a lot easier to get hold of. But Conex have recently announced that you can press certain fittings with certain guns with an M profile jaw. So my gun, Novo Press with an M jaw on a V profile fitting. So as you can see, look, one over the O-ring and two, so they call it 3 point. So you've got 1, 2, 3 points of pressing with an M jaw covered under the guarantee now. So that's me pretty much done with most of the pipe work before I get the cylinder in. So I'm just going to get this in place to dry fit and just make sure I've got everything in the right place, figure out where I can get my cylinder feed to come down and my secondary return to sort of join in, because on valent cylinders they join in together down the bottom before they go into the cylinder. So if I can, I'll draw them up high with an on return, but I've got secondary coming in from both sides, so I've just got to kind of figure out where I'm at with that. I've left just enough space here to put the wiring centre. So with valent they come with quite a big wiring centre, which you put all your pumps, valves, everything into. And then I've got, again, just enough room at the top left. The vessel is quite a big vessel for a 250 cylinder. So yeah, there we go. So yeah, hot and cold and secondary return all coming around there. Previously, they've had all these pressure reducing valves in because the cold main was not on a balanced supply from the combi valve. So we're going to be bringing it all off of that, so we can do away with this, neaten up this this sort of pipe work here, and the same this side. Kind of, it's a bit of a do my best with it, but it's yeah, it's looking. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far.
Right, so you remember at the start of the job I identified a load of cables. What I've done is pulled this trunking off here, and I've ran the old flex from the boiler, which will be the live neutral and earth to power the boiler, and then I've dragged this one, which we labelled, let's get to the end of it, we labelled that number 2. So upstairs in the airing cupboard we'll get number 2, brought that through the wall as well. That's going to go into the boiler for the bus connection, and then another cable I've tucked behind the ply, and that's just it, because that's going to do our zone valve for the central heating. So that one's labelled number 1. So we'll find number 1 upstairs and we can use that. And then the others, which is 1, 2, 3, they're going to get stripped out now because they're gone. And that white one there, that flex, that's what's coming from the boiler. And wire into that fuse spur. That fuse spur is going to turn the power on and off for the boiler and for the wiring centre upstairs. So we're now going to be running off 1 fuse spur rather than 2. So we're using a Spirotech. This is a Spirocross low loss header. Drains out the bottom, deaerator at the top. If you've never seen inside one before, it has this like mesh that separates the water, gets all the air bubbles to rise to the top, and hopefully the dirt falls to the bottom. So I'm just popping this together now. Got the washer there, it's a flat face, and then I'm going to fix it to the wall. Oops, these are on. With these rubber line clips, so they're going to hold on to this. So get this mounted on the wall just here next to it, and then we'll pipe back to the boiler, and then probably tomorrow sort this out because we've got zone valves, expansion vessel, filling loop stuff to go in that side as well. So that's on the wall now, lined up straight down the centre with the laser. And then I've got to put some press adapters into there, which we're going to make in with Loctite, so do that now. Okay, so we're using Loctite 577. These are the adapters. I've already made one in there, so we're just going to turn them into there. And with the Loctite, basically you just put some on the start of the thread all the way around, but you don't need too much. So just like that, a bead all the way around the very front. And then as you turn that in, it will fill the thread. And metal on metal, it will set 20 minutes or so, but that one I turned in, realised I didn't have 2 pairs of grips to hold against. By the time I'd gone to fetch my second pair of grips, it was rock hard, I couldn't turn it, it was only halfway in, so it goes off pretty quick. So nothing wrong with this pump, I'm going to reuse it, just going to clean it up a bit, and I'll also spin the head because that's going to go in line on here. So I'm going to spin the head so it's looking the right way. Okay, so that's the pump body cleaned up, and then I obviously took the head off, so I can now stick that one on the right way up. I just need screwing on there, and then I'm just working out now. This is my hot water flow, so we're going to come down into a zone valve, into that, and then unfortunately the central heating flow is this bottom one. So I've got to work out how I'm going to do that crossover, but that's got to come off a T and then a zone valve. And then I'm going to try, that's the expansion vessel that was over there. Try and fit that in somewhere, maybe just there above, and then get that. That's got a T in with these 2 returns somewhere. So the expansion vessel, it did have this adapter on it, 22mm compression, but I took that off, and now I've got this fitting made by Tesla. It's an isolation valve, so you can isolate it, turn that off, and then drain it from this drain point, recharge it, service it, and then open it back up again. It does come with a little tamper-proof seal. Oops, I've jammed it there. It's a difficult one, guys. So when it's shut, you can put this little tamper seal through. So people can't just shut it and isolate this from the system. But that's just going to tighten on there. Got a washer in there. Can't get in a right mess. That's just going to tighten on there, like that. So we can service this without draining the system. Okay, so I've mounted that on the wall, and then there's the valve. So that's just going to be piped down and pick up the returns. And then I'm just working out where to take I've got T in heating, zone valve, hot water to this one. And we're fitting, so we've got the Spirocross, we've also got the Valent filter to give it the 10-year warranty. And the customer bought his own MagnaClean, which he wants refitting, so I've got to try and work out if I can get the MagnaClean in here as well somewhere, so that'll be fun. Okay, so my thought process behind this, flow through the pump, T down, and that's in front of these 2 pipes here, because it's got to go to this one at the bottom. So I'm going to put T on that, M&F looking up, and it should go straight into that T. via a 2-port valve for the central heating, and then it carries on there, kicks back on a 45, and that's the hot water flow, because the zone valve for that is upstairs in the airing cupboard. And then my other thinking behind this was, see how this is spaced out? So once this pipe's in, and the expansion vessel pipe's in, they'll be equal distance and it'll look quite neat, hopefully. Okay, so the boiler to the low loss is pretty much done, and then coming across here, and then this one, which is a heating zone valve, has now got to come down and pick up the heating flow. This is the hot water flow, and then this one here is the hot water return, and this one's the heating return. So I've got to basically join these two into a common return, which is going to go up there and then into the low loss, hopefully incorporating that MagnaClean because the customer wants to use it. So what I'm going to do here is, because we've not got a press tool big enough for the 42mm, I'm going to solder onto that, outlet in 28, and then this is going to go on there, pressed onto that one, and then pressed onto my new bit of soldered pipe, and then we'll carry on in 28mm to get onto this. So I'm just going to solder this up now. I just need to clean it. Okay, so I've got a 42mm socket, reduced down to 28mm. I'm going to solder that up now, and then I'll just need to cut that back and hopefully get that elbow in line with each other. So I'm just going to sweat that on now. Okay, so that's soldered that on there, and then now I'm going to cut this here, this one here, hopefully to suit this, which will then line up with that one, like that. Okay, like that, and then that one there, that one there. Yeah, not bad. Okay, so pipe work's all done. Managed to get the MagnaClean in. That's all connected. I've reused that Wago wiring center. So I've got two cables. One goes all the way up to the airing cupboard, one goes to the boiler, and then obviously the pump and the central heating 2-port. So they'll connect together, and then the boiler gets its feed from one fuse spur now. So pretty much, yeah, it's really simplified the wiring, simplified the pipe work. Obviously it all needs lagging, but we're going to fill it up. I've just connected the teed into the water main. Got a filling loop there that could be disconnected, pressure gauge there. Expansion vessels teed in. Yeah, I think that's the best I could have done with that. And then Stu is cracking on. He's just about ready to put the cylinder in, so I'm going to go up and give him a hand with the cylinder once I've just connected these wires. So I'm done downstairs. I am now Stu's apprentice, cutting him bits of pipe, making him cups of tea.
Not bad tea.
I'm pulling bends for him. So the state of play at the minute, it's looking really good in here. I don't know what he's filmed so far, but he applied the cupboard really well, and the customer wanted him to paint it, so he painted it white. And now he's getting all these bends lined up to make it look as good as he can. Looking really good. It's what time is it? About 4 o'clock, and you've only just had your lunch.
Yeah.
Trooper. I've had 3 lunches.